The date was May 2nd, 2015, a day boxing fans around the world had been waiting for. The epic showdown between two of the greatest fighters of their generation, Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao, was finally here. The fight had been years in the making, and the anticipation had reached a fever pitch. As the bell rang to start the first round, history was set to unfold. For years, boxing enthusiasts had dreamed of this moment. Floyd Mayweather, the undefeated defensive genius, against Manny Pacquiao, the relentless, all-action fighter known for his speed and power. These two men were at the pinnacle of the sport, and everyone had an opinion on who would come out on top. Would Pacquiao's explosive aggression overwhelm Mayweather's technical brilliance? Or would Mayweather's ability to neutralize his opponent's strengths give him the edge once again? The media storm surrounding the fight was unlike anything boxing had ever seen. The build-up to the event was electric, but many wondered, would the fight live up to the hype? Critics had their doubts, but as the two men entered the ring, all questions were set to be answered. The first round was a classic case of both fighters trying to establish control. Pacquiao came out fast, throwing punches in rapid combinations, trying to catch Mayweather off guard with his speed. He was aggressive, as always, but Mayweather's ability to slip and avoid punches became immediately apparent. Floyd's defensive skills were on full display, and his shoulder roll technique was put to good use as he effortlessly dodged many of Pacquiao's early attacks. Pacquiao was trying to land his famous left hand, the weapon that had been so effective in his past fights. However, Mayweather's counter-punching ability made it clear that landing clean shots would be a difficult task. In the opening round, Mayweather took control by showing his defensive prowess while landing some clean jabs and counters of his own. The round was closely contested, but Mayweather's calm, composed approach seemed to give him the early edge. In the second round, Pacquiao increased his pressure, continuing to move forward and throw punches from different angles. He was clearly trying to land a big shot to break Mayweather's rhythm, but Floyd continued to use his footwork and defensive movements to stay out of range. Manny Pacquiao's approach was clear. He was going to take the fight to Mayweather. However, Mayweather's ability to control the distance and dictate the pace of the fight was already becoming evident. While Pacquiao's punches were fast and relentless, they lacked the precision needed to break through Mayweather's defenses. Floyd, on the other hand, was landing clean counters as Pacquiao lunged in. Despite Pacquiao's aggression, Mayweather's superior ring generalship was beginning to show. Floyd was dictating where the fight took place, and Pacquiao, for all his speed, was unable to land anything significant. As the fight moved into the third round, Mayweather began to show more of his trademark counterpunching. Pacquiao, who was now looking for ways to get to Mayweather's head and body, found it incredibly difficult to land anything clean. Every time Pacquiao would rush in, Mayweather would slip, slide, and counter with precise right hands and left hooks, making Pacquiao pay for every mistake. Pacquiao tried to change his rhythm, throwing punches in quick flurries, but Mayweather's impeccable timing and footwork allowed him to avoid most of the shots while landing clean counters. It was clear that Floyd was in control. Pacquiao's frustration began to grow. He was unable to land his signature punches, and every time he thought he was closing the distance, Mayweather would use his defensive skills to slip away and take control once again. By the end of the third round, it was becoming clear that Floyd's defensive genius was neutralizing Pacquiao's explosive offensive. Round 4 saw Pacquiao attempt to get creative. He tried to throw combinations in rapid succession, attempting to overwhelm Mayweather, but Floyd remained calm. He rolled with the punches and took advantage of every opportunity that presented itself. Floyd's jab was sharp, and his right hand was landing with increasing regularity. Each counter from Mayweather seemed to land clean and with purpose. Pacquiao continued to press, but with each failed combination, the gap in skill and strategy widened. Floyd Mayweather wasn't just dodging. He was actively making Pacquiao pay for every misstep. Pacquiao's frustration was mounting as the speed and precision of his punches were being neutralized by Mayweather's brilliant defense and counter-punching. By the end of the fourth round, it was clear that Pacquiao's plan to overwhelm Mayweather with speed and pressure was falling apart. Floyd's defensive mastery was proving to be too much for Manny to handle. By the fifth round, Mayweather had fully taken control of the fight. He continued to avoid Pacquiao's shots with ease while landing clean, effective counters. Pacquiao, who had been so successful in his previous fights with his speed and aggression, now found himself outclassed in the ring. Mayweather wasn't just defending, he was dictating the pace of the fight, landing clean punches and taking control of every exchange. Pacquiao seemed to be getting frustrated, and with each failed attack, it was clear that Mayweather's brilliance in the ring was on full display. Floyd's defense had always been a key part of his success, but in this fight, it was more than just defense. It was the total package. Perfect defense, precise counters, and an ability to control the rhythm of the fight. By the end of the Auxer's fifth round, it was becoming evident that Pacquiao had no answers for Mayweather's defensive genius and counter-punching ability. As the fight progressed, Mayweather continued to dominate. Pacquiao, though still aggressive, seemed to be out of ideas. Every time he would throw a punch, Mayweather would slip or block it with ease and counter. Floyd's footwork, which had always been one of his most underappreciated attributes, allowed him to remain elusive while still landing punches of his own. Pacquiao tried to press the action, but it was as though Mayweather was always one step ahead. Even when Pacquiao would get in close, Mayweather's clinching and defensive skills would allow him to smother Manny's attacks and reset the pace of the fight. With each passing round, Mayweather's confidence grew. His jab was landing with more frequency, and his counters became sharper. By rounds 7 and 8, Mayweather was fully in control, landing flush right hands and using his footwork to stay out of range when Pacquiao would try to counter. Meanwhile, Pacquiao's frustration was growing. His punches lacked the usual zip, and even though he was still fast, Mayweather's anticipation and counter-punching had left him unable to capitalize on his speed. In rounds 9 and 10, Mayweather continued to show why he was considered one of the greatest defensive boxers of all time. With every round, he neutralized more and more of Pacquiao's offense, picking him apart with crisp combinations and staying out of harm's way with perfect movement. As the fight entered the championship rounds, Pacquiao knew that he needed a knockout to win. But despite his best efforts, he could not land anything significant. Floyd, however, showed no signs of slowing down. He continued to control the action, using his jab to frustrate Pacquiao and scoring with sharp right hands. Floyd had not only avoided Pacquiao's most dangerous punches, but had also neutralized his aggression completely. At this point in the fight, it was clear that Mayweather was on the verge of victory. Pacquiao, though still throwing punches, was simply unable to connect. Floyd's ability to adapt and adjust in the ring was unmatched, and as the 11th round came to a close, it was evident that the decision was already in the hands of the judges. The final round was a mere formality. Pacquiao, knowing that he needed a knockout, gave it everything he had, but Mayweather remained calm, avoiding the majority of the incoming punches while landing his own clean counters. Floyd's poise in the final round encapsulated everything that made him the champion he was. His defense was impenetrable, and his offense was as sharp as ever. As the final bell rang, both fighters embraced the moment. Pacquiao had fought valiantly, but Mayweather's brilliance had won the day. Floyd Mayweather Jr. had defeated Manny Pacquiao in one of the most anticipated fights in boxing history. The result? A unanimous decision in favor of Mayweather confirmed his place as one of the greatest boxers of all time. In the end, Mayweather versus Pacquiao wasn't just a fight. It was a moment in boxing history that fans will talk about for generations. It was a testament to Mayweather's tactical brilliance, his ability to control a fight from start to finish, and his unmatched defensive skills. Despite the high expectations, Mayweather's performance solidified his legacy as the best pound-for-pound fighter of his era. As for Pacquiao, though the loss was disappointing, it didn't take away from his legendary career. He had gone toe-to-toe with Mayweather, but the styles didn't align in his favor. Both fighters would go down in history as two of the greatest. But on that night, Floyd Mayweather was simply too much for Manny Pacquiao to overcome. Mayweather had lived up to his moniker, money, in every sense of the word. He had created a legacy of skill, success, and brilliance in the ring.